Welcome back, friends. This is part 3 of our series, our Prevention in My Kitchen, which is a great series. We absolutely love it, but we did a 3-part series. The first part of the series was, how do you do prevention with your kids? And we said bonding, boundaries, and monitoring, and we talked about what those are. The second part was, what do you do if you think there may be trouble? Maybe they're withdrawing from you or starting to have trouble at school or finding new friends you've never heard of and things don't seem to be going well. So that was our part 2. Part 3 is a little bit more spicy, a little more serious. And so I want to talk about something that is a real problem for a lot of families. So I want to talk a little bit about what happens when you find out that your child is using substances. One of the things that happens as a parent is we feel like everything our kid does is reflected in us or on us. And I don't mean that in a way like it makes us look bad, but I mean it in a way like, what happened? Where did I go wrong, right? And so I want to talk about what is really happening and what you can truly do if you find out that your child is using. So the very first thing, friends, and this is so important to hear, is that you don't cause this. It's not a fault thing. And if you have that idea in your head, then what happens is that'll come out in a really judgmental way. And I promise you, this is not the opportunity or the moment for you to have that sort of judgmental attitude. It's not that we feel so super disappointed or anything like that. It's just that we're panicked. We're just panicked and we don't know what to do. So, one of the reasons that we do this series is there have been a lot of times in our lives as folks who work with kids, who work with families, even parenting adults ourselves, that we've been in those situations where we find out that something happened, that our kid was using, or they were doing something else that we absolutely wouldn't want them to do. And we know exactly what that feels like. And what you need in that moment, more than anything, is a really good friend and a very deep breath. Kids use for a lot of different reasons. It could be stress, it could be anxiety, it could be curiosity, it could be belonging with other kids. It could be that they're overwhelmed. There are a lot of reasons that kids use, but here's the thing. If we stay in that panic, we're not going to be able to move into what we need to move into to take the next step. And that really is connection. The very next step isn't perfection. The very next step, it's not a failure story. The very next step is, how do we connect? And so what you want to think about doing is take a deep breath, take a sip of water, go stir the sauce, whatever you have to do. Then you're going to start with the calm truth. Now, the calm truth for you and your kid is, I know this is happening. Let's talk about what's going on. And they can have any number of reactions to that. So what I want you to think about is, how can you get the support you need as someone who has to take the next step for their kid? Now, you might be tempted to say, oh, well, they just did it this once, or we don't know. That's the bottom line, is we just plain don't know. So we want to give them the message, there's no shame here. This doesn't change the way I feel about you, but we are going to get some help. And so you want to talk about safety at that point. What happened? Was anyone else involved? Are you doing okay physically? And of course, there are some things that you have to consider immediately. And I'm going to give you 3 tips and then a bonus tip. So the first thing is, there's help available. If your kid is having a mental health emergency and you're looking at them saying, I don't even know what to do here, just quietly go in the other room, call 988. That'll get you some mental health help right away. If you think there's an overdose involved, 911. If you think that your kid is having a medical emergency, 911. The vast majority of families, that's not what we're talking about when we're talking about use. And so there are some other things that you could do. For example, if it's not a medical or a psychological emergency, or, you don't think it's a mental health emergency, but there's a lot panic going on and you just need to figure out what's happening. A nice A nice way to help yourself is to call poison control. So you can talk to poison control about, it is anonymous. You don't have to worry about people storming down your door. Not that they'll ever gonna storm your door down, but you don't have to worry about that. They can help you to figure out what was your kid using, what were they doing, and then if it's an acute thing that's happening right now. The other thing is you're gonna have to walk some things out, right? So we have to figure out, how do we support our kid, but also make sure that everybody else is safe and they're safe, and that that if there is long-term use, that we need help for that to stop. And so there are folks you can call at the school. You can actually call their school and talk to the counselor there. You can talk to somebody in administration. You can talk to your own clergy. You can talk to a very good friend. Find a good friend. I would say, friends, one of the best people to call in terms of friends is somebody that you know that will walk beside you and will be the person that will help, but won't make it worse. So don't call everybody that you don't want your business on Front Street. Don't tell a Floyd, but call somebody that's a good friend and ask them to help walk alongside you. You are going to need somebody to walk alongside you. The last thing that I want to say is this. If you are really concerned, there's a great website that I actually go on and use when we're in this situation and helping other people walk through. It's called drugfree.org, drugfree.org. And by the way, friends, we're going to put all of these resources on the Delta Prevention website. The reason I love that website is it actually will help you to walk through what are questions you should ask, who are the people you should talk to. I want to wrap up this third part by saying this. This is probably the moment you need a bestie more than any other moment. You need somebody to walk alongside you. And if you don't have somebody to walk alongside you, there are people that are available that will help to walk alongside you. There are nonprofits in your community. There are folks in communities of faith that will walk alongside you. There are folks at the school that'll walk alongside you. So that's the first thing I want you to hear. The second thing I want you to hear is you're going to be okay, and so are they. It was probably a wake-up call. And now what we need to do is take the next step with them. And I want you to know that we know what it feels like. So you're not alone. A lot of people know what it feels like. You are not alone. Thank you all so much, by the way, for being here for this 3-part series. If you stuck around for this, listen, if this was a message, maybe you don't need it, but you know somebody who does need it, share it on your Facebook, share it on your TikTok, share it on your Instagram. Put it up in places that you think people might be able to see this, somebody who might need this message. Maybe they need it in a private way, and you might be able just to send it to them. That's why we're here, is to get this message out to people. Thank you all so much for joining our 3-part series. We had a great time. Thank you for cooking in our kitchen and joining me for tea. Have a great one, everyone.